go.
All right, we good to go?
Hello everyone, so I'm Wasim.
I'm Seth.
I'm Darren.
And we're the Fetch Execute branch of Fatcore. Today we're very proud to announce a product that we've been working on for about a month and a half. And when we first started working on our product, we looked at the way professors in the computer science department currently grade their assignments, and it was a mess.
Yeah, professors would have multiple windows open, too many things, either the text editor that their students are using to write their code, as well as some kind of notepad to keep track of what they give in a deliverable, or Excel documents with either the rubrics or statistics for the class, and it was too much.
So we said to ourselves, we can change this. And we created a solution, we call it TurboGrade. And TurboGrade is a combination of three products. First of all, TurboGrade is a course management system, which means that you have all of your courses organized by semester and year. You can add a course and delete a course. And when you go inside a course, you have all of your sections with students and their assignments displayed. When you go into a section, you can switch between students and assignments. And the way we think about assignments is as an independent entity from the section, which means that you can link one assignment to multiple sections. And everything that you put for the assignment is in the rubric. The information that linked to the assignment are automatically carried over to the section.
Right. So the second part of our software is it's a gradebook. In the grand scheme of things, it's meant to replace the grading element in the professor's software stack when he's grading. The way we kind of do that is in two ways. The professor has to give grades and be able to view them easily, and he also has to export some sort of deliverables to the students. So here is just that was just our UI. Here is one of the deliverables we give to the students. As you can see, it's kind of self-explanatory. There's a total grade at the top. There's general comments we want to give them. We give the student the rubric in which they were graded in. On the next, a little bit further down on the rubric, we give them the comments, exactly what rubric they were with, the point deductions, all that sort of stuff. So that comes bundled with the rubric.
So TurboGrade is also an integrated IDE, which means that you have a simplified version of a complex IDE. You have a tree view on the left. You have a section for rubric and grading, and you have a code editor with full syntax highlighting and the comments on the right. As you can see here, also we have terminal output, and we're proud to announce a feature called Run that lets you run processing and Java programs right from within the interface. And if the program doesn't compile, it also provides all the output from the terminal right within terminal. So without further ado,
yeah, we're going to show a quick demo of what it's like to grade with TurboGrade. So, on our desktop, we have TurboGrade already installed. And when you open up TurboGrade, you will be brought to your dashboard with your current semester selected. TurboGrade will show you any semester that currently has any sort of course information, as well as a year ahead and behind of the year and semester that we're currently in. So we're going to add a course to the spring 2017 semester. We're going to call it CS205. See that course shows up right here. And if we go there, we're going to add two sections. We'll call it 01 and 02. So we're going to go into section 01. We have no assignments. We have no students. We're going to go into our student view, and we're going to add a student. We're going to call him Colin Lazy. You'll understand why in a second. Colin right now has no grade average because he has no submissions, no assignments, no nothing. But we'll go back to the assignment view of our first section, and we're going to create a new assignment. We're going to call this the Yik Yak project, for those that remember. And the objective will say to analyze data. We also have the option, as we heard earlier today, to grade either from a full score based on deductions, or from a base score of 0 based on additions when students do things either correctly or incorrectly. We know Professor Sadovnik grades based off of deductions, so we will use that for this. Now we're brought to our rubric creation. We have suggestions for rubric categories, so we'll put in design with points, 10 points allocated. We'll put in correctness for 20 points. We'll actually add another one. It's written down in our suggestions, but we'll just write it anyway. Documentation for a total of 6 points. And then within our documentation, we'll add two subcategories of JavaDoc for 3 points. And we'll call commenting the other 3 points.
so we've also been working on a feature called the rubric guide. And this is kind of how Professor Fatman grades. You can you have a slider that kind of divides the points allocated to this category between different levels, and you can specify the expectations from each level for this criteria. So this is not complete still.
So with our rubric created, we will click done, and now that project, that assignment exists with a rubric. And if we go into our second section, we can actually add the assignment that has already been created, and it transports over with the full created rubric and the objective and the title. So if we go back to our first section, we will now import submissions for this. And if we go to choose folder, we are brought to, all of these are on our desktop right now, Moodle submissions. This is the format in which professors receive folders of submissions from Moodle. And if we click open and click confirm, it is to be noted, these are copies of student submissions. We're not altering actual students' data. A copy is made, and that is what is used inside of TurboGrade for any type of grading. And as you can see in our classes view right now, these students have profiles that are created for this section. They're currently present for this assignment, but they will exist in the rest of the section as well. As we can see, Colin did not have a submission for this assignment, so he does not have an assignment that is able to be graded. So we will click on one of our students, and we'll see, we'll explain the grading process.
So when you start grading a submission, you're presented with this window. It has the tree view on the left, and you can switch between files. You have the full syntax highlighting. You have the section for rubric grading, so you can like deduct points from correctness, for example, or design. Yeah. So you can see the total grade is updating. And now, intuitively, when a professor starts grading, they would start by running the program. So the program is now running automatically inside processing. This is one of our projects from 105. So if you close this program and you go back, you'll see all the output from the terminal if there is any output. And we've also implemented anonymous grading. So we start by hiding the student's name, but you can uncheck that and see the student's name and switch between submissions very easily. Now, Professor Sadovnik, I remember a month ago you told us that in a perfect world, you'd be able to just see the student's code and kind of select and drag to recreate a comment. And turns out the world isn't that far from perfect. So this is exactly how we do it. You have this pop-up window where you can write a comment for initializations, for example. You can choose a rubric, and then you can associate either a deduction or adding points to that section. So if you create another comment on the same file, for example, say you're the worst student ever. So let's make it up. Okay, correctness, -1. So now if you hover over the comments, it will show you exactly where in the file it is. And if you go to another file and create the same comment, we have autocomplete. So if you say, exactly, so you have the rubric and the points automatically completed. Now you can add the comment to the file. And if you go to show comments on design, or so it will show you where what comments have deducted the points on that category. If you click on it, it will take you automatically to that file. Once you're done with the submission, you can click on finalize. And as you can see here, there's this green status bar that shows you how much progress you've made in grading. And you have that button that activates called next submission that gives you a randomized submission from the pool of submissions that weren't graded yet. So if you finalize this one too, you click next submission, and now you're done. And you get a really great meme to celebrate.
So now that you're done grading everything, this is the time that you might want to look at your grades or generate some student reports. That should be easy for the professor. We've simplified it down to that button up there. So you click that, you tell where you want to put the PDFs. We choose PDF because it's a pretty general format, and some students don't like open HTML. So now that we've got the PDF generated, we can look at a little bit more what the student will see. So from the other slide, we see that the total grade is an 88%. They get the general comments if we decide to provide them. The rubric here, it's exactly telling you what happened. An 18 out of 20 on correctness, and the other sub criterion are listed. So to keep going down, this is kind of one of the more important parts of the report, is that the student shouldn't want to look at his code files, they should be able to infer what happened with their grade directly. So here we break it down very simply. We start with the rubric, some remarks for that rubric, so they're grouped together by that rubric. We tell them the file in which the comment was made on, and then we give them the grade adjustment here in the yellow box, and a comment saying you're the worst, this is obviously the worst student class. And alongside with that, kind of what we want to say is the most important, is that the comment is with the code context. You have it here. We provide the option to leverage a couple lines up or above. I mean, of course, you don't want to go above the file when you can't. We don't allow that. But that way the student has a pretty good idea of where the comment is. So continuing on, when we go back to the dashboard, we also talked about the professor should want to receive some idea of what their grades look like. Of course, you have the grades here. These guys are at 100 because we started grading from the top. But we also gave the professor the option to both generate all of the reports for the assignment, so each student would get a report, most of them will be blank. Same process, we open up that terminal and it transfers onto the desktop. The next thing we have is the option to export the grades in a CSV format provided by Professor Sadovnik. So as soon as we get that saved, we open it up, bam, there's your grades there, it's all generated for you, click to the left. Right. So Colin Lazy, he didn't submit anything, he's got a row to let you know that, and the other students have their grades there. So we'll name Tim, that's 8 out of 10, and that's the format of the
So we ran some tests trying to see how quickly this really is compared to how you normally would grade. And we've actually run them side by side. On the left, we have a professor using TurboGrade, and on the right, we have a professor not. On the left, he's already been able to open the program, see it run, and begins commenting, as a professor over here has just been able to open it, and now we start to use Excel to try to erase comments. He's already write new ones off of some format. Professor on the left is adding comments, changing the rubric dynamically, all in the same process, while this professor now has Pages, I believe this is Pages open, and a text editing software just opening, processing now. Professor on the left is actually already finished, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And a professor on the right is still typing, switching between Excel, between processing, constantly looking at their rubric, seeing what points they've allocated. You'll see him slide up and down on this a lot because you don't remember what points you've allocated to a certain category. And then now trying to create some sort of deliverable that looks nice, and now it does in something like Notepad or TextPad or whatever you call it. And so you get a product that is not that great in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Roughly double the time of our 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
And as you can imagine with a bigger project, the overhead for a comment and keeping the grade is actually not complex, in terms of complexity, it's not that great. So this value puts up with a larger project. So a little bit more about how we managed our project. We use 2 pieces of software. FreeCamp is a website that's basically just our backbone. It's our to-do list. We have a feature, we tell them, okay, it's on there, check it out, mark it done, good. Git is our versioning control, obviously, just kind of how we target that. We took a very data-driven approach to this, and by that we mean Professor Sadovnik gave us a pretty good idea of what he wanted through some templates and a lot of explanation, so we adapted our formula around that. So one of the things that we started with was the logic view, but even before the logic view, we said it's important to get a handle on the data. Once you have a handle on the data, you can take that data, build a logic view around it so that it mimics the nature of the data, and then you get a very long-lasting backbone of your project. So in our group, this is something we're particularly proud of. This logic view has held true since the beginning of our process throughout the experience. So that also comes with the idea that we're using a model view controller aspect. What that allows us to do is basically 2 things. When I want to add some features to interact with the front end, I went and developed an API, and I told Lucien the API is not done yet, but here's the methods. He can work on his stuff parallel at the same time I'm working on my stuff, and then it comes together very nicely in the end because we designed an API around it. The second thing it allows us to do is when we want to add a new feature, it's very extendable because the front end and the back end are totally separate.
So we've also fully documented our engine so that the professor can just go in and edit the code. We've only used pure C++, which is what we expect the professor to know. We don't expect them to know any HTML or QML, so we don't use that.
Our philosophy for this product was very simple. We wanted to make this as easy for the professors as possible. 5 main points for this. Number 1 is that, as we said at the beginning, professors shouldn't have to switch between as many windows as they can. It clutters your computer. It makes the grading process very difficult. It creates a very poor work environment. So if we can keep it all in one window, that's exactly what we want. Number two is that we want professors to not have to change what they normally do. We're not trying to create a new way to grade. We're not trying to rebuild the wheel. We're just trying to provide a tool for professors that they can use and get their job done faster. Number three is that professors shouldn't need to put in any auxiliary information that's unnecessary. So all of our autocomplete functions, how we were showing that Moodle submissions would already create profiles for students, we thought it was kind of unnecessary for professors to have to put in that information themselves. Number four is that students should be getting the best data back from the professor. So our deliverable was easy to read and very clear cut as to what your information is, as well as comments being associated with both grades and parts of the code. You know exactly why you're getting the grades you're getting, on what criterion, and what of your code is causing it to be like that. And the fifth thing is that your product, if you're a professor who's not in the computer science field, obviously this is specialized to computer science, but if you're grading anything that is rubric-based and text-based, you can use TurboGrade for that. So if you'd like to assign essays and grade essays, this will work for that just as well. Syntactically, it would be a little weird, but works just as well.
So we've created installers for every major platform. We've created installers for Apple's macOS, Windows, and Linux, which makes the installation and the uninstallation process very easy. So at FAFCorp, we love professors.
Just
and
a little
turns
bit.
out professors
Not a big
also
part.
love TurboGrade. And some of them wanted to share their experiences.
Before TurboGrade, I never enjoyed grading. I constantly switched between Excel, processing, and Notepad to grade my students' labs. When I first experienced TurboGrade, well, I instantly fell in love with its unified and immersive user interface. It, frankly, just made my life easier. Now, I like grading.
Sam, is that your dad?
It is.
So through that video, we wanted you to generally experience how much people are willing to lie for just $5. So that was TurboGrade. We have automatic comment suggestion. We have running processing in Java documents right from within the interface. We have that great select and drag to comment, and we have syntax highlighting for students' code.
So I know what you're probably thinking right now. Third one.
But there's one more thing. TurboGrade also runs on mobile, and we've got it right here. We thought that maybe a student would ask you to like send you an email asking you about their submission, what went wrong with their submission. So we thought it would be easier for you to just look at their code since it's synced over Git, to just open the app and look at their code and then provide them with feedback right from your mobile phone.
And with every great product release, we have to have an Apple-style commercial. So we'll see. Go nuts.
Students, you do so much for them. You're just here to help lighten the load. So take it away. We've got your back. TurboGrade. At FAFCorp.
So yeah, welcome to TurboGrade.
Thank you.